Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's second Div C matchup of the night on this channel. I'm Dead Latin here with some Div C West action with Almost Legends Obsidian versus Pigeon Stitches. Two teams both getting promoted from Div D last season, looking to prove their worth in their new division. Now when we look to the coin flip, we see that it was won by Pigeon Stitches, who decided to take first pick and ended up banning out Dragon Share and Ultrac Pass. Meanwhile, Almost Legends Obsidian banned Sky Temple and Towers of Doom and is bringing us to Volskaya for our first map today. Should be pretty interesting as both these teams, again, looking for a win. Pigeon Stitches has already lost both of their matches 0-2. Meanwhile, Almost Legends Obsidian lost 2-1 to Annie Oak League. So it should be interesting to see which of these teams is able to get into that W column and start getting some points on the board. Meanwhile, when we look to Volskaya, we'll see a pretty nice... what I love about Volskaya is you got a little bit of macro, a little bit of micro. You're forced to fight on the point, and so you might get some weird picks coming out. When we looked at Pigeon Stitches, not too much in the weird category. They have yet to play Volskaya yet this season. Meanwhile, Almost Legends actually lost Volskaya to Annie Oak League. Going with a pretty interesting comp of Johanna, Arthas, Orpheus, Dukov, Falstad. So, should be interesting to see if they go something similar. Now, something we could see a trend of is that Falstad is kind of a preferred solo laner for them. So interesting to see if that ends up getting banned out. As well as Dukov being their preferred healer if Anduin is banned. Teams, though, are now ready, so we will be getting into the draft. I expect for us to set the tone with Div C's least favorite main tank hero, of course, Anubarak, always banned out first or second. It's just a question of who gets to ban it. Unless maybe he gets through. Could be a miracle. But up first here for Pigeon Stitches, some heroes that they have been commonly drafting. Rhaegar is something that comes up, has been picked by them twice already this season, although partially that's because they played on Infernal twice already. So that could just be more of a map pick for them. Other than that, they actually have played a pretty wide variety of heroes. So, the only other hero really coming up again being Diablo and Junkrat, who was played on Infernal twice, so don't really know too much. Meanwhile, ETC actually going to be the first ban here. Kind of interesting that that is the ban that comes out. As ETC, not commonly banned, even if he has some popularity in the pick department, but especially not as a first ban. You likely see generally Anubarak, as I mentioned earlier, especially because that's the one map that Almost Legends Obsidian was able to win was with Anubarak, but they are going to be the ones to take the bug ban position, banning him out first. And so now Pigeon Stitches, with their second ban of the night. Honestly, I don't know what way they could go with this. Gonna hold it till the last second though, and ended up going with Raynor. Again, someone that Almost Legends Obsidian hasn't played this season, but is just a solid all-around damage dealer. And so it's not like too strange for him to be banned out, as pretty much every assassin player has him in their pool. Meanwhile, Alarak gonna be the second ban coming out from Almost Legends. I have a feeling that these heroes have somewhat hurt these teams in the past, so they just don't want to see them. Meanwhile, first pick now for Pigeon Stitches. I feel like this could really set the tempo for what strategy they want to go. It's going to be a Diablo right away from them, showing a trend of them trying to go towards the Diablo. Should be interesting to see who they pair with him. Meanwhile, Deckard going to be the first pick, as we see our first real map pick hero. Deckard, although not the strongest overall healer in the pool, Volskaya is one of his strongest because he has the opportunity to set up beforehand in order to provide your team an advantage. Meanwhile, Johanna, one of the, I'd argue, menacing heroes of Div C, just because you can't necessarily focus her down, unlike some other heroes. As we saw earlier on today, being able to be utilized to really create some space, especially in Volskaya, where you might need your tank player to get in there on overtime and park themselves down. Johanna is definitely the hero to do that. Meanwhile, Rhaegar Kael'thas coming out from Pigeon Stitches. DB Smiley showing Rhaegar is not just for Inferno, but for other maps as well. And then the Kael'thas going to be able to do quite a bit, especially if you see Almost Legends more sitting back on the point, allowing for Kael'thas to easily step up and hit multiple members. Falstead going to be the ban now. This one more understandable, as is somewhat played by Pigeon Stitches. Even if this isn't generally the off-lane map for Falstad. Meanwhile, Pigeon Stitch's last ban is gonna be Gul'dan to take out another hero that does well with point more space limited comps. However, one that we could definitely see picked up right away is the Orphea, who is commonly played by Magic Master. In fact, we're going to see here along with the Junkrat from Boggs. So you're going to see kind of a backlane artillery type comp coming out with Magic Master, going to be able to go in to follow up with the damage output from Junkrat and potentially have some devastating burst damage once ults come online. Now for Pigeon Stitches, you're going to see the offlaner plus support still, or excuse me, other assassin. More consistent damage. Well, Rexar is going to be offlane. It's going to be Phoenix. So both teams picking up a backline, more squishier assassin, and an assassin that likes to go in to finish off kills. Meanwhile, Arthur's going to be the offlaner for Almost Legends Obsidian. So their draft ends up looking quite a lot like their draft in their last match, with the only difference really being they don't have the false sense Stukov like they did last time, instead going for Deckard and Junkrat. So interesting to see if the swap up makes too much of a difference. And I think I overall prefer the draft of Almost Legends Obsidian, just because I believe the Johanna Deckard combo could really punish Kael'thas a lot, having them step up and then provide some heal for Orphea when Killer Fry does decide to go in. But definitely some more unorthodox comps, not necessarily just going more meta comps, or meta heroes at least. Even if they are some more map related heroes, as a lot of these heroes are stronger on Volskaya specifically, or at least a point, I don't know how you want to describe a point, like restricted, fighting in a tight space. But anyways, here we go for map number 1. It will be for Almost Legend Obsidian. Indecisive on the Deckard, Boggs on the Junkrat, Magic Master on the Orphea, Dowling Pig on the Johanna, and DJ Cold Cuts on the Arthas. Meanwhile, for Pigeon Stitches, it will be Blackened Avian on the not the Leoric, but rather the Rexar, DB Smiley on the Rhaegar, CM Shives on the Oh god, I am just blanking. Phoenix, Killer Fry on the Diablo, and Death Child area on the Kel'Thas. Don't know why I blanked on Pigeon Stitches' name, but already we see Indecisive trying to get the nice spread of potions to start. As the fighting, just trying to be poking around. Rexar actually in the top lane. Generally you see him in the bot lane, so interesting to see what they'll be doing with that Rexar there. Meanwhile, DJ Coldcut's yet to rotate down to the soul lane also. And both teams willing to stay here. A nice grenade there onto Killer Fry. Ends up booping him back, but he has the charge in order to get away to safety and keep the 5-man middle fight to a standstill. Meanwhile, DJ Coldcut's actually being the top lane while the 3-man rotate for Pigeon Stitches comes up to challenge him. And it will actually be Boggs on the Junkrat in the bot lane for now. He's going to end up rotating up though early, so don't know maybe if it was some miscommunications. As DJ Coldcut's now going the bot lane to match the Rexar. However, that has put Almost Legends Obsidian a little bit behind in their rotations, so it will be Pigeon Stitches first to their fortification camp with DB Smiley and CM Shives on it. Meanwhile, the members of Almost Legend Obsidian just now getting to clear the mid lane in order to kind of allow for the remaining members to not have as much clear. In fact, aren't even going to be looking for their turret camp quite yet. Instead, just going to get their 4-man rotation going now. Both teams, though, equal in experience early on. Killer Fry actually getting the charge onto Dallion Pig, but not going to follow up on it. Blackened Avian now going to be checking out the camp, gain the vision, and we'll be seeing Indecisive looking to start on the camp, but that will allow for the remaining members of Almost Legends Obsidian instead to try to get the flank with Dallion Pig coming aggressively down onto Blackened Avian, but not getting quite the damage dealers with him. Going to instead decide to back up. Meanwhile, Indecisive now going to start on the camp with Dallion Pig. Not much damage though, so it's going to be hard for them to quickly take that camp. Meanwhile, Magic Master going to get comboed on the rotation to try to cover the XP, but will get the Q successfully to escape with his life. Now when we look at the talents, so far a little bit of lacking stacking wise by Arthas. 4 is about average, I'd say. And meanwhile, Kel'Thas did go Regen Master, so we won't be seeing the greedy Kel'Thas this game. Now with their turret camp though, both teams about to get set up for the point as Pigeon Stitch is now rotating back to take their siege camp. In time it pretty well with the point, slightly behind, but not too much. Meanwhile, Boggs just now starting on their own siege camp. Indecisive going back to help him. Both teams not necessarily starting to accrue progress as they are taking their siege camps. Black and Avian going to take this opportunity to just park Misha on the point in order to get some free progress ticking. Both teams though still equal in XP, so one team not likely going to get a 7 advantage too early in the objective timer. DJ Coldcut's now rotating up from the mid lane while we do see Black and Avian now rotate to the bot lane to catch that wave of soak. But now with the members missing, that's going to allow for Almost Legend Obsidian to just easily, for free, walk onto the point, but not before Pigeon Stitches is able to get 54% progress. They're going to take this opportunity to clear the top lane and potentially put even more pressure onto this top gate. They are going to look to take down the gate pretty early, with Killer Fry just setting up to potentially interrupt any rotation coming through. As that will allow for them to get 7, they're going to rotate down with this small window of opportunity. But Almost Legend Obsidian just has a little bit more to go before 7 picked up on them, so it's not like they'll have a huge disadvantage on this point. Indecisive is set up with his potions as Killer Fry does look to get initiation, gets the charge on a Dallion Pig, ends up actually flipping Dallion Pig too, but not able to catch any damage to really threaten the Johanna. Meanwhile, and ends up with CM Shives taking a huge amount of damage, forcing him to teleport out. But the bomb spread is pretty large, putting a lot of damage spread out amongst the members of Almost Legend Obsidian, forcing them to back off the point momentarily while Indecisive tries to heal up the members. So overall, Deathchild area able to save that fight, as Killer Fry being very aggressive, looking for the charge on the Boggs, but not able to find the follow-up, as now he's the one who might potentially be in trouble there. Ends up getting rooted from the Arthas, as DJ Coldcut's trying to go in, dealing a lot of slow and damage overall, but now he ends up going very low. Again, the kill loss damage coming through as DJ Coldcuts will be the first one going down. CM Shy's going to be forced to back up as it will end up be Smiley who ends up going down, but ends up being traded out there for the Johanna. So it will be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Pigeon Stitches, but the Rhaegar going down with all members of Pigeon Stitches low means this fight is not over. Bog's just able to land his grenades, and but luckily Black and Avian with Misha just going to be able to soak a lot of this damage coming out. Now Killer Fry looking for the engage, but the triangle or scroll of ceiling from Indecisive able to lock him up for now. He will end up going very low, but able to survive for now. Magic Master trying to go in order to secure a kill, not able to find it quite yet, as now it is back to a 5v5 fight. The cleanse going out on a Death Child area to get him out, as Magic Master going in looking to get the finish off, not able to quite find it yet, but the Q will, putting him though drastically out of position. He will have to rotate all the way back around. Misha gonna fall for trying to keep overtime going, but Smiley the next victim to fall for Magic Master, going in and confirming the kills in order to give his team the 2-for-0 fight win that they need in order to secure the first protector. So a great job there for Magic Master, finding the great way to go in onto the Kael'thas to prevent him from doing damage, as actually will be Diablo going down, as well as Blackened Aviary. So that's going to allow for Almost Legend Obsidian to get a lot of value and just pick up this mid fort here early on in the match. So great play there, as they just keep the gunner actually inside of the protector to allow for a little bit extra damage from Magic Master outside of it, but they will be able to finish off the fort. Can Pigeon Stitches get anything on the chase? Not able to, as they're still down their Rexar in Blackened Avian. So the teams are just going to peel back off into their lanes. Boggs rotating down with DJ Coldcuts in order to potentially do some siege damage, but instead going to rotate back up. As 10s are now picked up from Almost Legend Obsidian, it's going to be Lornado from the Deckard. Junkrat's still holding his ult. Sindragosa out of Arthas, Blessed Shield from the Johanna, and Crushing Jaws from the Orphea. Meanwhile, for Pigeon Stitches, it is going to be Bestial Wrath out of Rexar, the Ancestral coming from Rhaegar, Phoenix coming from KTZ, Breath, Fire Breath out of Diablo, and I forget the name of the ult. It's Purification Salvo out of CM Shives. As here comes the Indecisive going in with the Lornado, as well as trying to lock it up. DJ Coldcuts hits Killer Fry with Sindragosa, as well as disabling the fort, allowing for them to go in even more, as it forces out the Ancestral coming from Deaf Child Abuse, who will still end up going down though from the tire from Boggs, able to secure the kill. So although they use a lot of resources, that does give Almost Legend Obsidian the advantage to be able to take this top support camp. Meanwhile, both teams already have taken their turret camp, so it will be a slight item advantage for Almost Legend Obsidian for the second point phase. Meanwhile, the siege camp in the top lane going to be doing some damage for Almost Legends Obsidian, forcing Pigeon Stitches to have to rotate up for it. The flank coming through from Almost Legend Obsidian. Can they catch out Blackened Avian, who does have the turret, if they're able to catch him? But a nice dodging there of all the CC abilities allows for him to escape with his life. You know, in the top lane, Pigeon Stitch is able to clear out the siege camp up there, while Almost Legend Obsidian now rotating back into the mid lane. Really, the key in the upcoming fights for Pigeon Stitches to be able to win will be Killer Fry. Will he be able to get the engage onto the targets he desires in order to provide a window of opportunity for Death Child Abuse and Shives to be able to step up? Well, in the bot lane, pretty much a stalemate right now. DJ Coldcuts struggling a little bit against the Misha, and so Almost Legend Obsidian again going to be rotating down, while Black and Avian going to be rotating up at the same time. And so Pigeon Stitch is going to be able to rotate down the mid lane, catch another wave of soak, but it will be Almost Legend Obsidian picking up 13 first in this game. Pigeon Stitch is just looking to try to get 13 now before they get their engage onto the point. This will allow for Almost Legend Obsidian to just get the setup onto the point, allow for Indecisive to be standing, setting up his potions for when Pigeon Stitches eventually rotates up But now with 13 obtained, Pigeon Stitch is going to be looking to rotate back up, as well as with this fortification camp, which they're picking up now in order to give them an item advantage in the upcoming fight. However, the turret was used there a little bit early, I believe from Almost Legend Obsidian. Nope, it looks like Dowling Pig is still holding on to it, so we'll just be a basically even fight here in terms of items, as the Root ends up catching two there from DJ Cold Cuts, but they don't decide to engage with it. As well as the scroll, seeing as Bestial Wrath is now popped, as it looks like the engage looking to be taken from Black Avian. The flip ends up going on to DJ Cold Cuts along with the Phoenix, but the Tyrant ends up getting Deaf Child Abuse, as well as Blackened Avian. Blackened Avian ends up going very low, will end up going down. Now Shive's in a lot of trouble, already has teleported out, as well as Killer Fry will end up going down. Now Smiley will go down. Killer Fry, will he be able to survive? He will not be able to. A nice 4-0 fight win in favor of Almost Legend Obsidian. So again, it was Magic Master who was able to go in and get the cleanup on the backliners of Pigeon Stitches in order to allow for them to win this fight. And now with being up 4 members, they're going to be looking to get some damage onto this top keep, get at least the wall down, potentially the entire keep already this early into the game. Death Child area just trying to poke from afar, not willing to get too close before his tanks come back in support of the defense. However, the keep has already taken a good amount of damage, as now we see the souls coming in from Killer Fry. The bomb damage coming out from Death Child area is going to force for Almost Legends Obsidian to back up before they finish off that keep, and instead rotate into the mid area in order to get down the keep wall here as well. However, they're very they don't want to quit quite yet. 16 is right on the horizon for Almost Legends, so they are content to just sit back and wait for the XP to come in, as now it is. But with the Protector too low, again, they're just going to back up and kind of just poke down this wall with the Protector's gunner abilities. Almost Legend just willing to sit around. Actually going to use the turret here, as the Crushing Jaws able to interrupt the teleport from Shives, as he ends up taking a lot of damage there, as well as the Blessed Shield used, but he's able to back up enough for them not be able to secure the kill. In comes the Shindragosa to disable the keep, as well as severely slow Killer Fry, as it forces the Ancestral to be popped. However, a nice amount of damage did not allow for the tire to go through, and so Almost Legend Obsidian going to turn their attention now to the keep that is disabled. Dowling Pig just trying to zone out the members of Pigeon Stitches as the keep comes back online with the minion wave now rotating in. The keep will go down, and now Killer Fry has to be careful. In comes the tire now, which will end up going to Smiley with Killer Fry already down. However, Killer Fry did have souls, so will be able to come back into the fight to make sure that the core is not an option here for Almost Legend Obsidian. So they will end up backing out after Death Child area ends up using the Phoenix. But still, a nice fight there from Almost Legend Obsidian, using their ults and 16 advantage to get a keep pretty early on into this game. Now they're going to turn their attention on the support camp, as still they have a 16 advantage against Pigeon Stitches, who's just going to turn their attention to trying to soak back 16 and make sure that they're not too far behind for the next capture point phase. Black and Avian going to start on the turret camp here in the bot lane for Pigeon Stitches. Meanwhile, Boggs, Indecisive, and Dowling Pig taking Almost Legend's own turret camp. Almost Legend's going to have a huge item advantage in this upcoming fight, now having 2 support camps into turret. And now they're going to be looking for the flank on the Blackened Avian yet again. Will he be able to dodge all the CC as before? He dodges the grenade. The Lord Tornado, though, going to zone him out from being able to escape, as that will be the kill onto Avian. And so, Almost Legend Obsidian going to decide, are they going to siege up here and look to potentially take down the gate in the will? It looks like the answer is yes. In the meanwhile, Pigeon Stitches was able to take their siege camp in the top lane, but that will be going down, and now Almost Legend Obsidian going to actually threaten the fort as well. They will be able to get it before Pigeon Stitches is able to get the engage. They will end up using the Phoenix as well in trying to make sure that Almost Legend City doesn't get too many more ideas. Shive's actually in a lot of trouble, able to get the TP and right past the Lornado. So nice play by him to make sure he gets back alive and is not down for this control point phase. As now Almost Legend Obsidian going to back up onto the control point as well as send Boggs to the top lane in order to clear out the siege camp. That will lend a window of opportunity for Pigeon Stitches if they want to go in while Boggs is in the top lane. Instead, they're going to be clearing out the mid lane, which has 3 catapults in it currently, before rotating down onto the control point. A lot of potions down, providing a small amount of advantage for Almost Legend Obsidian, but I don't know if it's enough to make up for Boggs not being here. So Almost Legend Obsidian just going to back up for now and wait for Boggs to get here before they commit to the fight. In comes the Riptire. What is he going to be able to find this time? As it will be Shives who will end up going down before his ultimate is able to go through. The support camp is dropped already as the Phoenix going to do a lot of damage to Indecisive and Dowling Pig, but it is the lockup on the Kael'thas that will end up getting the kill on the Deathchild area. Now Killer Fry again in a lot of trouble, able to get the cleanse coming through, but with the Syndragosa will still end up going down. Now DB Smiley trying to run away, and Wolfform will be able to escape along with Black and Avian. But they're just going to sit Indecisive on the point while Almost Legends Obsidian going to start on the siege in the spot lane. It's going to be a tough keep defense or potentially even core defense if Almost Legends Obsidian decides to go straight onto that through either the mid lane or potentially the now opened up bot lane. Meanwhile, 20's also being picked up from Almost Legend Obsidian to add to how hard Pigeon Stitches their defense is going to be here. Dowling Pig looking to get the engage onto Black and Avian. However, Misha able to save his master for now. But the keep will end up going down before the Protector is able to come back or able to walk to the bot lane. As Indecisive already in the Protector, Boggs going to get in there as well. Now, will Almost Legend Obsidian be able to get the core kill here? Killer Fry looking to potentially get the engage as the Phoenix already is popped in this fight. Cold Cuts is taking a lot of damage just from the core as in comes the Lightning Breath, but already the Crushing Jaws is huge, ends up blocking up Deathchild area and Killer Fry mid Lightning Breath. DJ Cold Cuts though getting pressured out from Shives, but again another Crushing Jaws onto Smiley, gonna deal a lot of damage. Can they get the kill before the core falls? They will be able to kill Rhaegar. Arthas traded out, but that will be game number 1 going over to the side of Almost Legends Obsidian. So a great job for them to be able to stay in fights in order to chip down the members with until Magic Master sees the opportunity to go in and dives in to confirm the kills throughout the different fights of this match. As we now look to the scoreboard, 18-3 was overall the kill differential in the game, as it was Boggs on the Junkrat from afar able to do 80k damage. Meanwhile, Shives the top damage dealer on Pigeon Stitches with 36k damage. Indecisive also out-healed Smiley, but just barely. Meanwhile, Black and Avian actually was the top tanking of damage, just sitting Misha on the point. But in order to extend overtime, especially for the first control point, but it was not enough as Almost Legend Obsidian picks up the first game in the series. So it should be interesting to see which way Pigeon Stitches goes this time around, whether they want the first pick or the map pick. But overall, you kind of need a bit of a strategy change in order to try to deal with Magic Master's Orphea. As he just kind of had, Orphea had free reign in the backline to combine with Boggs' damage that last match. But definitely, probably going to see a change up in bans, as they were pretty unconventional bans other than the Nubrak ban from Almost Legend Obsidian. In fact, honestly, if I was them, I would chance letting it and see if Pigeon Stitches does let it through, as Infernal Shrines will be picked by almost like Obsidian, with Pigeon Stitches picking first pick, taking first pick. Now, Infernal Shrine's one that both teams are pretty familiar with. But yeah. Also, something to be looking out for is what main tank Pigeon Stitches decides to go with this time around, because they do like to change up their main tank pick quite a bit. Now teams just entering into the lobby now. Looks like the teams are almost ready here. Just gotta make sure the lobby is set up correctly. Just waiting on one more member. Hmm. Like the teams are good though. Sorry for a little bit of dead air there. Just trying to set up the lobby. But looks like the teams are now good. Oh, nope. One team still just waiting for a brief break. But yeah, I think the key is whether or not Magic Master's Orphea can get shut down. Even though he didn't have the damage numbers that Boggs did, he was able to get a lot of the confirmed kills, especially once he got Crushing Jaws. When you're an Orphea able to hit some big two-man Crushing Jaws, it can really help to turn around some fights. Especially because Infernal Shrines is yet another kind of point control. It's a very similar map to Volskaya, so it should be interesting to see if the teams do change up any strategy. Looking at some of Pigeon Stitch's last drafts on this map, Rhaegar is very likely going to be their healer if he's able to make it through the draft, as well as they might be looking to take the Junkrat away, as he has been played both times on Infernal Shrines this season by Pigeon Stitches. Meanwhile, Infernal yet to be played by Almost Legend Obsidian this season. But I expect to see a lot of the same heroes coming through. Especially when you have such a dominant game, you don't really necessarily need to change up much unless the enemy team kind of forces you to. It looks like the teams are now ready, so we will be getting into the match. First ban here coming out from Pigeon Stitch. Last time they banned ETC actually. So it should be interesting if they change it up from him. Perhaps a Johanna ban if you're really worried about the main tanks. On the side of Almost Legends Obsidian. And it will indeed be the ETC being banned out yet again. Meanwhile, now for Almost Legend Obsidian, perhaps we see the Nubrak ban being followed in suit. Especially because if you're Almost Legend Obsidian, you'll take a mirror draft from last game. In fact, they will be following up the Nubrak. So now it's on Pigeon Stitches. They banned Raynor last time. I don't think that'd be a great ban again after seeing some of the performances Almost Legends Obsidian put on their respective heroes. In fact, their ban will just be Raynor again. A little bit of a question mark to me. Meanwhile, now for Almost Legends, I'm trying to remember what they banned last match second. I know it was something unconventional, but I can't remember off the top of it. There it is, it's Alarak. That is right. So both these teams just keeping it the same so far. So now Pigeon Stitch is with their first pick. Last time they first picked Diablo. And in fact, will be Diablo yet again with Killer Fry. Continuing that trend. Now for Almost Legend Obsidian. They are just going to pick up their core heroes of Orphea and Johanna, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Honestly, Magic Master was able to do a ton of work, and Dowling Pig did a good job of peeling for the backline and making some space in team fights to get the engages they wanted, so definitely agree with those picks. Meanwhile, Gul'dan Stukov going to be coming out from Pigeon Stitches, swapping up a little bit, especially because Gul'dan's, I don't know why I want to say Gul'dan, but Gul'dan's wave clear ability on Infernal Shrines is highly valued and could set up a potential race advantage for Pigeon Stitches early on in the draft. Meanwhile, Stukov are going to allow for a lot more burst healing to deal with the Orphea damage. Falstad again going to be banned out by Almost Legend Obsidian. Just don't want to see it, I guess. Although Pigeon Stitches did play Falstad last time on Infernal Shrines. So at least this time you have some data that you could at least correlate to. Maybe why they're going through with that ban. And then Arthas going to be banned out to take away the Arthas from DJ Cold Cuts. Should be interesting to see where he goes without that Arthas. Potentially taking away the Rexar. As that's the other lane hero he's been shown to play. In fact, will be playing this time around. Meanwhile, Boggs is going to be back on the Junkrat. So basically, Almost Legend Obsidian trying to keep it as similar as possible. I don't blame them. The only thing they're going to be suffering in is kind of the clearing department in terms of the objective. Orphea has okay clear, as well as Junkrat, but they don't have a true force of being able to quickly take the minions, such as Gul'dan. Now for the last two picks from Pigeon Stitches. They're going to end up going with Leoric Hanzo. So I really like just the amount of clear that Pigeon Stitches has. not only for just the shrines, but also in lanes, going to give them a nice advantage, especially if they're able to take some of the siege camps early on in the game. Meanwhile, Deckard, again, the pick from Almost Legend Obsidian. So a lot of the same heroes from last game. Although I think I overall prefer the draft coming from Pigeon Stitches. If they're able to get to the objective early and kind of force Almost Legend Obsidian to come to them and not just have Boggs be able to chip them down from afar, that could be how they turn around the series. However, again, as I was saying earlier, the crucial point to be looking out for is, can Magic Master be shut down on the Orphea? I think Boggs won't be able to do as much damage that set up Magic Master, but still it is a force that's going to have to be dealt with. And Killer Fry might be the person who could do it by perhaps playing more defensively instead of being the Diablo that goes in to charge and save your team. You're the Diablo that stays back and gets the pick when the enemy team overcommits. But here we go, looking to close out the series. It's going to be Almost Legend Obsidian with Indecisive on the Deckard, Magic Master on the Orphea, Boggs on the Junkrat, Dowling Pig on the Johanna, and DJ Coldcuts on the Rexar. Meanwhile, for Pigeon Stitches, looking to stay alive in the series, it's going to be CM Shives on the Hanzo, Blackened Avian on the Leora, Killer Fry on the Diablo, DM Smiley on the Stukov, and Deaf Child area on the Gul'dan. Giving up on trying to say Gul'dan, even though I'm pretty sure that's the correct pronunciation. As we already see Boggs trying to lob in some grenades, as both teams sent all 5 members to start. If we look to some of perhaps the level and talents, it will be Echoed Corruption, and it will be the Q quest coming out from Hanzo. So should be interesting to see. I expect for him just to be going the full, trying to clear minions quick with the explosion. But Hanzo has some of the best talent diversity in the game, so it could definitely be going a variety of different paths and builds. In the top lane, it will be Blackened Avian against DJ Coldcuts. You know, in the bot lane, Deaf Child area going up against Boggs. A slight advantage for Deaf Child area in terms of clear, but Boggs gonna be able to put a lot of pressure. DB Smiley getting a nice silence there, but as it is kind of early on, not able to do much with just Shives and Killer Fry to assist with a takedown. And so Smiley and Shives gonna rotate in order to take their siege camp. Dowling Pig though, perhaps might be looking to sniff it out. And in fact will be, with the remaining members of Almost Legend Obsidian rotating down. Killer Fry in a lot of trouble here without his souls. Will be locked up there from the scroll, as well as the grenade knocking him up. But ends up getting the charge on it. Indecisive will not be enough as a successful invade there from Almost Legend Obsidian. Can they get the kill onto Smiley? Will not be able to. But still already a nice start there from Almost Legend Obsidian in this game. Now they're going to peel off in order to start on their own siege camp and deal some pressure with this siege camp instead of with the invaded upon one. Now back in the top lane, pretty much a stalemate so far with an easy drain life target from Blackened Avian. He shouldn't be in too much trouble. Oh, Deaf Child area actually stepped into the trap there. But Boggs not able to follow up really with it. Meanwhile, we see a nice scroll able to lock up all 3 members of Pigeon Stitches there from Indecisive, which he's been able to hit consistently all game long. You know, Magic Master going in, but Killer Fry able to tank through all the damage. Looking at stacks, only 3 Echoed Corruption stacks so far for Gul'dan. Meanwhile, 2 heroes already completely done by Hanzo, so pretty nicely done by him so far. And the one advantage of Almost Legend Obsidian rotating down is he's able to hit some of the heroes you're not normally able to get in lane, such as the solo hero. Solo laner. Siege camp though being finished up by Pigeon Stitches, as it will be Almost Legend Obsidian actually starting the objective. Already getting some clear going, but as I mentioned earlier, the superior minion clear definitely in favor of Pigeon Stitches. will start to be walking in. Here, Killer Fry gets the charge onto Misha, so looking just to get a slight advantage early on, but the scroll ends up blocking up 2 members. Smiley going very low. Magic Master going and will be able to get the kill onto the Stukov. DJ Cold Cuts, though, took a lot of damage from Avian, but a nice grenade from Boggs able to knock him back. Now Magic Master going on to Shives, despite being lower than Shives, but will be able to make it out. Pigeon Stitches, though, is able to kind of just force Almost Legend Obsidian back for just a second as they tap up here. And with the amount of clear they have, that's going to provide a large opportunity to Pigeon Stitches. Now the charge on a Dalian pick, who's just going to take this opportunity to walk into a Pigeon Stitches. Smiley just now coming back. Death Child abuse very low, not able to get the Stukov burst quite in time. The silence able to hit the 2 members. If Indecisive end up having to walk through the silence, it will get bursted down there from Killer Fry. But 36, with only 2 minions away, Pigeon Stitches about to pick up the first Punisher of the game. Actually, it's close. It's tied 39-39. Who can get the finishing blow? It will end up being Almost Legend Obsidian. I spoke a little bit too soon there, as they were able to barely get it with the Orphea Q, I believe. So really close first objective here. Ended up being picked up by Almost Legend Obsidian, but with how low they had to go in order to get that first Mortar Punisher, they're not able to push with it. So the Punisher not even going to be able to get the entire first gate down. Blast Tower will be finished up, though, by the minions pushing up with the Punisher. So a slight advantage there picked up by Almost Legend Obsidian. XP about equal, though, so far, as we do see DJ Cold Cuts going for the Bruiser camp in the top lane, while the remaining members of Almost Legend Obsidian just splitting off to try to get some soak in. In the bot lane, Pigeon Stitches looking to pick up their own siege camp right now. End up leashing it there for just a second, but coming back in. Boggs has scouted it out with his grenades, but with the 2 members in the top lane, Almost Legend Obsidian not going to be able to get the invade this time around. Instead, we'll just be starting on their own siege camp. Pigeon Stitch is now focusing in the bot lane here, going to be looking for that bot siege camp. They're going to back up, though, with Boggs able to provide plenty of vision. Team Shives does spot out the siege camp taking of Almost Legend Obsidian, but not going to decide to go for the invade. Is now both teams going to converge in the mid lane where the siege camps are both present. Almost Legend Obsidian going to be able to get the quick clear onto Pigeon Stitches' camp, as Boggs could be a little bit of trouble. Able to get back over the wall, though, with his mine. As Killer Fry and friends going to be rotating up. Actually, Almost Legend Obsidian looking for a fight right now before 10. Able to lock up DB Smiley there from Ineffective, but Indecisive. The mine, though, ends up knocking DB Smiley away. Not quite able to get it, so no kills for either side in that fight. Both teams getting close to 10. Slight advantage for Almost Legend Obsidian currently, as Magic Master trying to push with that siege camp, but without any support. Just going to have to back up as Pigeon Stitch is able to clear the camp pretty easily. But Almost Legend Obsidian is going to be able to pick up this bot camp, siege camp, and potentially push with it now with their ultimates that are online. It will be Crushing Jaws yet again for Orphea, Bestial Wrath for Rexar, Lornado coming out from Indecisive, Blessed Shield from Johanna, and Riptire from Junkrat. Meanwhile, on the side of Pigeon Stitches, it's going to be the Entomb coming out from Lior, Horrify from Gul'dan, Apoc actually, this time around from Killer Fry, Lurking Arm for Stukov, and the Explosive Arrow coming out from Hanzo. Looking at the stacks now, we see only 11 stacks so far for Death Child area. Meanwhile, Hanzo is almost done, though, so that will be a nice advantage boost to the clearing abilities of the Shrine of Pigeon Stitches if he's able to complete it this Shrine phase. Black and Avian going in, looking for an Entomb opportunity. Not going to pop it quite yet, as instead it's going to be Black and Avian going in with the Misha. Crushing Jaws ends up hitting 2 along with the Blessed Shield. And then comes the Tire. Won't be able to find anyone. The jump was early, though, so won't be able to get behind the gate. And so an ult advantage now for Pigeon Stitches. Killer Fry looking to go in potentially with this APOC, as well as Black and Avian. Arrow ends up hitting 2 members, but not able to follow up with it quite yet. Black and Avian forced to try to get away, as APOC not able to hit anyone. Misha the first to fall, but not too much of a blow so far for Almost Legend Obsidian. Indecisive, though, will end up going down. Nice flip coming in there from Killer Fry. And so that will force Almost Legend Obsidian to back up and allow for Pigeon Stitch's assassins to start going to town on the minions on the shrine. Already up to 23, with Indecisive still 5 seconds away from respawning. So that should be enough time for Pigeon Stitches just to be able to complete the shrine, unless they decide to go in 5v4 before Indecisive comes back. Looks like they're going to play it safe though and just wait for Stukov to come for the defense, with Boggs just trying to lob in some grenades. You did take the quest at 4 in order to boost its stamina. It is already back, or already up to 64 stacks. Dowling Pig eating the jump from the Punisher, as they are able to do a lot of single target damage to the Punisher with Magic Master and Indecisive. And so the Arcade Punisher only able to get the wall in the top lane. Fear ends up hitting 2 members, excuse me, as Indecisive the most caught out of position. But Killer Fry has to be careful here. Lurking Arm being put onto Indecisive. Oh, the Crushing Jaw's not able to quite find Shives, as Magic Master takes a lot of damage there in return from Shives. And so that will force Almost Legend Obsidian to back up here. And so, nice fight there from Pigeon Stitches, able to fight down Black and Avian, who was soaking in the in the bot lane. And so they will get 13 before Almost Legends does. Now the rotation potentially looking for the Leoric. So Indecisive goes rotate down, but Black and Avian just gonna back up for now. Shives trying to scout out Almost Legends Obsidian's siege camp, but does not see anyone there for the moment, as 13 now picked up from Pigeon Stitches. Let's see if they can do anything with their slight level or brief level advantage. It looks like they're just going to back up and use the opportunity to take their siege camp. Killer Fry gets the charge onto Boggs along with the flip, and the APOC not going to catch him though. Does catch Magic Master Indecisive, however, and putting Magic Master on the retreat. The Scroll of Sealing going to lock up Killer Fry and DB Smiling, not allowing for Pigeon Stitches to try to pursue any further. Pigeon Stitches now going to turn their attention back onto their siege camp as Boggs rotates back into the bottom lane in order to get some more soak going. They are looking for Black and Avian with Magic Master rotating up, but they're barely not able to find the kill onto him. Again, Black and Avian's been a nice escape master so far. And instead, it's going to be Boggs who ends up going down in the bot lane. Shives almost died just to the death, dying blow from the Junkrat mines, but barely able to make it out. So Deathchild area along with Shives just going to take the bot siege camp in order to put some push in the spot lane in order to match their mid lane siege camp as well, which it looks like they're going to rotate up in order to try to catch out Magic Master. No, it looks like they're instead going to just steal the siege camp of Almost Legends Obsidian. You know, on the top lane, it will be Luark actually falling to DJ Cold Cuts this time around. So in comes Dowling Pig now, but too late, as the siege camp has already been taken by Pigeon Stitches, who's just going to back out now. Magic Master going in, trying to look for the kill onto Shives, who's able to get away. Now with the next shrine spotting, it's time for us to look at the stacks. Up to 25 now for Deathchild area. Meanwhile, Shives still has not been able to quite find that last person to finish off his quest. Dowling Pig looking for the flank potentially here. Looking to get it onto Deathchild area, as Lurking Arc does push him away. Now Killer Fry having to try to retreat. They will successfully absorb Almost Legends engage. But they will start now the shrine, as Black and Avian now back, looking to potentially go in with a huge entomb, but ends up getting mined in, so will be forced to use Rayfok to get out. Crushing Jaws ends up hitting Smiley and Avian to lock him up. Magic Master ends up getting hit by the entomb. Can they find it though? The arrow actually ends up whiffing from the Hanzo, as Rexar will be the first to fall from Shives. And now they'll be looking to go in. Charge! And to go from Indecisive, but Fantastic Mind saves Indecisive's life for now. Black and Avian looking to go in even further, get the finishing blow, but not able to find it under the towers. So we'll be forced back up as it's just a 1-0 win for Pigeon Stitches. But can they get the shrine in time? The clear looks like it will be able to come through, but Dalian Pig looking for the engage. A nice scroll ends up blocking up 3 members of Pigeon Stitches. But they are able to pick up the Frozen Punisher in the meantime. Magic Master has to be careful. We'll end up taking the safe rotate as Black and Avian will rotate up to mid in order to catch some of the soak. Dalian Pig was in front of the gate though in the retreat when the Frozen Punisher caught sight of her. So will not get the leap over the wall. As we see the engage on the Magic Master with the nice flip in charge from Killer Fry. As the silence ends up hitting 3 members there of Pigeon Stitches. Nice shot by Smiley, able to get confirmed the kill there onto Johanna. And so that will allow for them to pick up the bot fort and get the first structure of the game. Misha gonna eat the leap along with the arrow. They really wanted to kill Misha that time around. Bog's gonna be able to mine out. But not after he's able to take half of his health and damage. And however, now Smiley ends up getting locked up there from Indecisive, as they are going to be able to get the gate in the bot lane, but not much more. And so Pigeon Stitch is going to take this opportunity to back up. Shive's going to be backing in order to get some mana. Nope, going to decide to just retreat with his team. Black and Avian in the meantime was getting a ton of mana just by trying to double soak between mid and top. You see the bot siege camp being taken by Pigeon Stitches. Meanwhile, DJ Coldcut's taking this top bruiser camp. Black and Avian getting a nice little push of his own, looking to potentially pick up this top fort while his team is picking up their siege camp in the bot lane. DJ Coldcuts though coming in, and that will force the Wraith Rock to be popped from Black and Avian as the siege camps are traded out in the mid lane. Pigeon Stitches now lying in wait, while Almost Legend Obsidian having to back up pretty far in order to soak that bot lane. That will allow for Pigeon Stitches just to get the clear onto the siege camp. Still, a nice level advantage for Pigeon Stitches. That is kind of widening, but that will help as DJ Coldcut's able to take down Avian yet again in the top lane. And so that will force Pigeon Stitches to have to rotate up to take the bruiser cape, and I assume to try to clear the top lane, but Almost Legends catches sight of this, is going to go in onto DJ Coldcuts with the APOC from Killer Fry, but the fear catches Indecisive. Shives will end up going down along with Smiley though to the engage from Magic Master. Now Fry in a lot of trouble trying to stand onto the point, but will still end up going down, and so they're able to get the team fight win with the 3-0, but the pause will be coming out here from Shives. As it looks like he ended up dropping from the game. That might also have been a part of that fight. But still, Almost Legend Obsidian now able to turn around this game. With the pick. And also the successful invade. But looks like the game now going to be resumed with Smiley back in the action. It looked like Killer Fry did have soul, so we'll be coming back to the fight. But Almost Left Obsidian now with their 2 bruiser camps going to be turning their attention to the top lane. Going to be able to take their first fort of the game here, as well with Killer Fry alone on the defense in the top lane. Now getting some help from Black and Avian in Death Channel area. But it looks like Almost Left Obsidian looking to push the advantage and potentially take down the keep in the top lane. The Lornado though, not going to be able to hit quite the Black and Avian or Killer Fry as Almost Legend Obsidian goes onto the keep. Still 8 seconds away from Stukov come back from Pigeon Stitches. So with that advantage, Almost Legend Obsidian is going to be able to pick up this top keep. However, they're not going to want to push the issue, as Pigeon Stitches did play pretty conservatively, making sure that they didn't stagger out any more deaths. And so it will be almost Legend Obsidian with the advantage now in this game. XP is equal, but they're going to be able to soak some huge waves in the mid and bot lanes in order to get them very close to 20 before the next shrine phase activates. But this game is much closer than last one, which I'm very happy to see. But can Pigeon Stitches try to turn back around the momentum? Killer Fry trying to look for the engage he wants, as Pigeon Stitches does activate the shrine. Will just be Black and Avian on the objective for now, as Pigeon Stitches does back off. Gonna be forced to pop the Wraithwalk in order to get away from the Scroll of Sealing. It's now almost Legend Obsidian moving on to the objective. Looks like Pigeon Stitch is trying to get a little bit more soak of 20, but Killer Fry now looking for the engage. Ends up finding it onto Boggs, but the arrow does whiff yet again, as now it's Dowling Pig looking for the engage onto Smiley or onto Black and Avian. Tiger gonna be popped. Can it get the kill onto Smiley? Not quite able to, but it will put him very low. Dowling Pig looking for the finish off onto Smiley. Entomb though, nice Entomb for Black and Avian. Gonna peel off the Johanna. Now Killer Fry in a lot of trouble after the Horrify ends up coming out. Will end up going down as 20's now just being picked up from Pigeon Stitches. And so that will, with his souls being used in that last death on the invade, he will be down for 50 seconds. So that will give almost Legend Obsidian this Punisher going straight towards the core. It's going to be up to Pigeon Stitches to try to catch someone out on the side of almost Legend Obsidian to get the pick to snowball the defense successfully. Almost Legend Obsidian though trying to be aggressive, as Diablo is only down for 25 more seconds. Alrighty, Boggs trying to arc in some damage. Focus trying to go on to Black and Avian, as the Jaws barely miss Shives, who is able to leap out of the fight, but it's Deathchild Area who's in a lot of trouble there, being found out there from DJ Coldcuts in the Punisher, able to successfully retreat to his keep. Indecisive has to be careful. Nice silence from DB Smiley, but it will not matter as the core will still fall, and almost Legend Obsidian will take the match 2-0 over Pigeon Stitches. A much closer back and forth game number 3, as the comeback was able to be achieved here from almost Legend Obsidian in order to take this match as well. As we'll look to some of the post-game stats, it was Boggs leading the way on the damage quite again, with 58,000 damage. Meanwhile, Deathchild Area had the 51k on the side of Pigeon Stitches. DB Smiley yet again, or I shouldn't say yet again, this time out healing Indecisive at 88k to 60k. Well, was DJ Coldcuts taking a ton of damage to Misha, as a standard for Rexars, out tanking Killer Fry 96 to 85,000. But a very well played series, both from being able to play ahead in game number 1 from almost Legend Obsidian, and then being able to provide the comeback as they win game number 2 and the series. Should be interesting to see if we will get the captain of Div C, almost Legend Obsidian, Dowling Pig, or maybe another member of his team to talk about the match at hand. Still a very well played match from Pigeon Stitches this time around. You could definitely see them picking up their victory very soon. Looks like we're gonna get Magic Master, the Orphea player, in definitely was a dominating force in game number 1, although kind of zoned out a little bit more in game number 2. Definitely a presence that was a difference maker in this match. Hello, Magic.
Hello.
Congrats on your victory. Your first victory of the season.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, pretty enthused about that.
We start off on Volskaya, where you guys kind of go to your more standard comp, running Orphea, Johanna, Deckard. Why'd you guys choose to run Deckard on? I should say both of these maps, as he's generally not a meta hero.
Well, you see, with the thing is with meta heroes, it really what you see is it really doesn't matter as much as you think it does, especially if you're really comfortable as a hero. You can do well as a hero no matter what meta he's in, depending on the situation, as you can see. But yeah, we've had a player, our player who played the Deckard today. He's really comfortable on a lot of supports, and he just likes Deckard. So, and we it works well with our team comp in the way that we fight. It's just nice to have those heals and also the boost in CC that we get. It's really nice.
Definitely. And then early on in the game, you guys were able to take the first protector in a very intense overtime fight. What was it like when you guys went down 4 to 3 members in that overtime fight, but yet you were still able to turn it back around?
I'm sorry. Um, I mean, it felt. Was that the question? How I felt? Sorry,
Yeah,
I was
just
trying to
like
think
what
things.
was it like in the team? How were you able to turn around that fight on the overtime first control
So
point?
when we get into it like a sticky situation, what I like to do is just kind of focus on the small things, on really just sometimes when it's in a team fight, it's some micro gameplay. Just who do we focus on? Who do we get? Like who's up and who can deal the most damage? And then we try and focus and try and pick them or do whatever we can to keep control of the objective and just see how we can win with the items that we have or what the damage we can put out.
And then you were able to use that first protector to get the early advantage with the fort. Generally, what is your strategy to using protectors? Is it are you a team that more prefers to get that fort early on, or kind of rotate, get the wells to prep next objectives?
I'd say we're more the type of team to go for the fort, and then if we can get some wells, if after the fort, that's a nice extra little bonus. But I would say that we like to go for the fort more often than not.
And then in game number, well, I should say both games, but especially the first game, you were kind of the role of the cleaning up the fights, diving in order to finish off the kill setup from Boggs. How do you generally try to time when to go in as Orphea?
Well, generally, I just see who can I pick off, and it's either who's low or who has the least amount of health and is a carry, or if there's three heroes grouped up, and I can just go off on my combo, which I did a few times. I'll just do that. If I can get three heroes up in there, then in my jaws, that's perfect, and that really just sets up the kills from then on.
One thing I noticed you guys doing a lot in both games was really rotating aggressively in order to catch Pigeon Stitches out. Uh, are you generally trying to be looking for maybe like the solo lane pick, or is it just like, hey, your solo laner called out, he might be a little too far, let's go for it?
Um, I mean, it's a little bit of both, honestly. We take what we can get. If we get a pick on rotation, that's great, but we're not actively. Sometimes we're not even actively looking for that. We'll just see them and hey, that's a pick that we can do. And we'll just dive on them. But yeah, if we see the top laners overextending, then we'll say, hey, like you know, let's get them.
And then in game number 2, early on, you guys were able to get a really nice invade into Pigeon Stitch's siege camp. Were you guys planning on that, or was it just because you had the vision on the camp?
Um, it's hard to say. Usually, we do like invading on that camp, but I don't think we were planning on it. I think we were just trying to play it safe, but then we realized we had the advantage um, because I know the Gul'dan was low, I think. So we just decided to go in.
And then, kind of towards the mid game, Pigeon Stitches came online was able to get, I believe it was the third protector phase, and kind of come back a little bit. How do you get back into the driver's seat in a match, kind of? Like,
Okay.
how did your team kind of turn around the match and get that comeback going in the mid game?
Again, like I was saying earlier, during team fights it's a lot more micro, but when it's in general we're behind, or maybe we're behind a level like we were in the second game, we were looking kind of low. I just like to say, hey, let's focus on the macro. Let's do camps. Let's clear waves. Let's get the XP back. And that's what I like to do. Like, focus down the protectorate and just go kind of step by step. Like, what are we gonna do next? Just simplify things so it's not like, oh, we're behind. Like, what are we gonna do?
And then one thing that you were able, just as an Orphea player, was hit some pretty big crushing jaws. What are you looking to do with that ult to utilize it to its maximum efficiency?
Again, like I said earlier, I like to get usually a few people, but if I can like combo down one of their carries, like the Gul'dan or the Hanzo in the second game, I'd like to do that. But in general, I'm just kind of looking for the opportunity to use it in an effective way, either to set up for more CC from either like my Deckard or anyone, or some area of effect damages like with the Junkrat or my other abilities.
And then my last question is, any shoutouts you have with your victory?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my boys, Frankie, Franklin, Frankfurt, and Fart. That's it.
Oh, well then. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and congrats on your victory. Good luck in the rest of your season.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And that will do it for tonight's 2 casts. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a fun night, continuing to follow Div C, both the East and the West, this time around. Coming up, though, will be this Saturday, in which case we're going to more of the upper leagues, as we'll have the double header starting at 9:30 Central at night of the heroic match between a BBW and Probe 1, and then a really extremely late Div A match between Sky 5 and Wipe Them Out again at 11:30. Meanwhile, tomorrow there is still one Div C game if you're looking to stay in the division, with Annie Oak League versus Piecemeal. So definitely look out for all of those games, as well as other casters trying to show you as many games in NGS as possible. This season's been very special, in which case we've seen about 98%, I believe, casting. It's not, or like 95. And whatever ones have been left over, you can definitely look out for Arrow to cast them on Replay Sunday. But that will do it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the Nexus.